On behalf of Ministry of Commerce, Trade Development Authority of Pakistan and Trade and Investment Wing of High Commission of Pakistan in Nigeria, I welcome you all for joining this webinar. We are now about to start this webinar and I would request Qari Akbar to recite from the Holy Quran.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إذا جاء نصر الله والفتح ورأيت الناس يدخلون في دين الله أفواجا فسبح بحمد ربك واستغفر إنه كان توابا صدق الله العظيم.
Jazakallah. Thank you, Qari Akbar Saab.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have some very experienced and highly learned people in the list of our speakers. And before I invite one individual to one by one to them, I would like to give you a brief introduction of all the speakers. We have our senior and kind guide and Madam Maria Qazi, Joint Secretary, Ministry of Commerce. She is looking after Africa Division in Ministry of Commerce. Then we have our main speaker, Mr. Akin Sanda, our guest from Nigeria. He is expert in corporate law and trade dispute settlement as a practitioner from Nigeria. Then we have Mr. Mohammed Sajjad Malik, Senior Joint Director, Banking Policy and Regulation Department, State Bank of Pakistan. He will be speaking on this topic. Then we have Mr. Kamran Ahmed Riaz Saab. He has joined from Dubai, Pakistan Business Council. He is representing Pakistan over there. And then we have Madam Razia Shakir from Engineering Development Board. They have been always supportive for us in major international events. Then finally, we have Director General Mr. Akhtar Khokar, who will be giving concluding remarks. With these words now, I very warmly welcome and invite our Madam Joint Secretary, Madam Maria Qazi, for opening remarks and her talk on Look Africa Policy Initiative and Cooperation Initiatives by Ministry of Commerce. Madam, am I audible to you?
Zulfikar Sahab, your voice is a bit shaky and it's unclear.
So I am inviting Madam Maria Qazi, Joint Secretary, Ministry of Commerce, for her opening remarks and the talk on Look Africa Policy Initiative.
Thank you, Zulfikar. Thank you, everyone. I especially welcome Barrister Akin Sanda for joining us. And in fact, I hope that he will guide us along with Ali Tamkeen, our Trade and Investment Counselor in Lagos, for how to do business with Nigeria. Back in 2017, we in the Ministry of Commerce studied and observed that despite having historical close relations with Africa, a lot of African countries, our bilateral trade was quite stagnant and was not increasing. We looked at our representation, our institutional arrangements, and our engagements with the countries of Africa, and we found out that our interest has been very low on that side. We had a few joint ministerial commissions which were meeting with the frequency of after 10 to 12 years. Pakistan has only 15 embassies, resident missions in 54 countries of Africa. And we in the ministry had only 3 commercial sections in Africa. One was in Kenya, one in Morocco, and the third one in South Africa. So in 2017, we opened our commercial section in Lagos, Nigeria, Nigeria being the largest economy of Africa. It is the largest country, the largest economy. And we launched this Look Africa policy initiative to have engagement with Africa, to have close partnership with Africa in trade and economic initiatives and investment. So we started off with giving a few special concessions, like TDAP is giving special concessions for participation in trade fairs in Africa. TDAP gives special concessions for delegations going to Africa. We welcome the trade delegations coming from Africa. And what we in the ministry have been doing, that we enhance the number of commercial sections from 4 in 2017 to 10 in 2020. With the approval of the Prime Minister, we have placed more officers in Africa, and this is only first phase. We plan to add more to our list. So simultaneously, we are offering different kinds of MOUs to the African governments. We are working to form joint working groups or joint trade commissions with these African countries. And we also hosted Pakistan Africa Trade Development Conference in Nairobi in January 2020, in which we are thankful to all the African governments that over 200 delegates from 25 African countries participated there. Nigeria had a great representation there. The head of Nigerian Manufacturer Association came to Nairobi along with the delegation. There were around 200 businessmen from Kenya also, and our business community, over 100 companies participated and had very good B2B and G2G interactions with the African governments. So building on that conference, we plan to have another conference in Africa, and Lagos will be likely destination for that, to host that conference, because along with other countries, we look at Nigeria being the largest economy. Now, lately, our trade relation with Nigeria the trade figures were not much encouraging. Especially our exports are not that encouraging. But we have started importing LNG from Nigeria for last couple of years. So that has resulted in building contacts, and of course, Nigeria must be looking at us as a market for their products, and it is one of the growing economies in Africa. It is the largest economy in Africa. So we look forward to a bigger relationship with Nigeria. We have offered a bilateral trade agreement to Nigeria. It is under negotiation. We are going to form a joint working group on trade also to move ahead. And we will be definitely working on the next conference also. We are in touch with the Nigerian High Commission in Pakistan. And currently the bilateral trade is only around $300 million, but it has a huge potential. Though our exports are currently around $25 to $50 million in last few years, and they switch with one or two orders. If a bigger order is received, it goes to 50 million. Otherwise, normally it remains around at 25 million. So we have been working on different product sectors. Pharmaceuticals, surgicals, and engineering goods definitely have a great potential for exports to Nigeria, and especially to Eastern and Western African countries. But as it's an unknown territory for us, so we are unaware of the business procedures, the registration requirements, the licensing regimes or the quota regimes, or what are the rules and regulations. And definitely these items which are our focus, like pharmaceuticals, surgicals, engineering goods, These are technical items, and we need to know the regime first before we can embark upon increasing our exports. Similarly, there have been the issue of banking channels, banking relationships. We trade, and there have been problems of payment from both sides, from Pakistan side as well as Nigerian side. There are issues regarding visas also. We don't have a direct air link, but I would request to this August forum that if we all work together, the public sector and the private sector, so we can overcome these obstacles, and as the business grows, then the channels are established. If we don't work with Africa, we don't have linkages with Africa, we don't start doing business in Africa, even investment. African countries, they have this advantage of having the African continental FTA, the trading blocks in Africa. There is ECOWAS, there is COMESA, there is East African Community, SACU. So if we don't engage with all of them, if we engage, we invest in Africa, then we have the opportunity to even export to Europe tariff-free. But if we don't engage, we don't look towards Africa, then it's the most promising market, it's the upcoming market. And this is the time that we change our attitude. And instead of going to the traditional markets of Europe and America, we need to work with Africa more. So with that, I will finish my comments, and I would request Zulfikar we will like to listen more from Mr. Ekin Sanda. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Madam, for comprehensive overview of trade relations with Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, may I tell you that in addition to what Madam said, we are trying to participate in exhibition in Africa. Recently, we announced exhibition in Sudan, and we are offering 80% subsidy for participation in those events. But thing is that we will have to practically and physically participate in the events, and we have circulated the information with all. Hope we will get response. This is the only medium through which we can market our products over there. Now, I would like to invite our main speaker, Mr. Ekin Sanda, to speak on trade laws and business related regulatory framework of Nigeria. Mr. Sanda, please.
Hello, good morning from Lagos, everyone. My name is Ekin Sanda. It's a pleasure to be here to share sufficient information about the trade laws and business-related regulatory framework of Nigeria. So, yeah, let's proceed. Okay, we are looking at the company and taxation laws in Nigeria. Basically, in order to attract new investment, the Nigerian government recently enacted the Company and Allied Matters Act of 2020. It was done some less than 3 months ago. Basically, what it tries to do is to try to make the company structure much more acceptable to be able to bring in investment and also to engender the small and medium enterprises in the country to participate both in import and in export. So the law prescribes that it regulates all establishment of operations of business entities, and also prescribes incorporation of companies by foreigners desirous of carrying on business in Nigeria. If I may add, one of the biggest, the policies of the present government when they were elected in 2015 was to encourage more foreign direct investments in Nigeria, and as a result, there have been a lot of laws that have been amended to encourage foreign direct investment, also with the view of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. So these are the types of companies registrable in Nigeria. We have the private limited liability company, the public limited liability company, the companies limited by guarantees, and the unlimited companies. And I would say that the most common ones that are operated by foreigners is a private limited liability company, which requires a minimum of 2 directors, 2 shareholders, and a share capital of a minimum of 10 million naira. The others, like we said, the PLCs are regulated by the Securities Exchange Commission. Foreigners are also allowed to invest in PLCs as long as the investment is brought either by way of a merger and acquisition, by way of registration, and seeking the necessary approval and permits from the Security Exchange Commission. The limited by guarantee, which are not for profits. We also have quite a lot of companies who have cross-border social enterprises operating within the country. Now, like I mentioned earlier, the present law, which is the Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission Act, prescribes that a foreigner can engage in business in Nigeria by owning it 100%. So looking at these classes of companies that I mentioned earlier, we look at the incorporation checklist for any Pakistani company interested in engaging in business or setting up a business entity in Nigeria. So we have the 2 proposed names. Okay. A registered address, share capital, like I mentioned earlier, it's a minimum of 10 million, particulars of directors and shareholders. For the time being, if interested parties are willing to register in Nigeria, they can still use their foreign address pending when they are granted work permits and business permits to begin operations in the country. So company secretary, means of identification of all shareholders and directors, and the memo and articles of the company, and the payment of the statutory fees. So those are the general ones. Okay, Section 78 of CAMA provides that every foreign entity that has the intention of carrying on business in Nigeria must take all necessary steps to register in Nigeria. Now, the Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission Act also provides that it is possible for foreign investors who own 100% of the equity of a limited liability company in Nigeria. So those are the far-reaching foreign direct investment laws put in place to ensure that foreigners can actively participate in the Nigerian market. Now, I will say that the effect of Section 78 is that unless a foreign company is incorporated in Nigeria, it cannot carry on business in Nigeria. It cannot have a place of business or an address of service in Nigeria. But there are exemptions. And the exemptions are that you have companies who are either invited to Nigeria with the approval of the federal government to execute specified individual projects, foreign companies who are in Nigeria for the execution of specific individual loan projects, that is usually from donor countries or international organizations, then foreign government-owned companies engage solely in export promotion activities. And we also have engineering consultants or technical experts who are procured by the government to work on projects. Those are the people that are other exemptions. However, the exemptions can only be granted upon an application to the Minister of Trade and Commerce to ensure that they can become exempted from the conditions of registering a separate company in Nigeria. Now, taxation in Nigeria, again, in 2019, to fulfill the objectives of the current government, they simplified the taxation procedures that companies have to, particularly corporate income tax for companies. And we have TIN. TIN means your tax identification number. It's a unique number that is issued to all companies, all entities by the Federal Inland Revenue Service once the companies have been registered entities in Nigeria. So there are three classes of companies income tax under the reviewed Financial Act of 2019. You have the small companies, that is companies that have a revenue, an annual gross revenue turnover of less than 25 million per annum. Those ones are exempted from corporate income, companies income tax. Then you now have the medium companies, that is between 25 and 100 million. They pay 20% and they're granted rebate options where payment is made 90 days before the due date of filing. Then we have the large size companies, that is over 100 million, that is at 30%, with another rebate of 2% for early filing. So, investment in Nigeria, like I have mentioned in previous slides, the NIPC Act is what governs investments in Nigeria. The Act establishes the commission, the NIPC, charged with encouraging an investment promotion to the Nigerian economy. So the agency serves as a one-stop shop where, for instance, all foreign companies or foreign entities seeking to invest in Nigeria, they come into the commission, and the commission supports them in dealing with the relevant ministries to ensure that they can get all their permits and approvals or licenses as they require. They even assist in dealing with state governments, because in Nigeria we have 36 states that have different governors. So the NIPC is at the center of ensuring and encouraging foreign direct investment in Nigeria and supporting the activities of foreign entrepreneurs who are interested in engaging with Nigeria. So the Act also provides for investment promotion, protection assurances and incentives applicable for FDIs and foreign portfolio investments in Nigeria. So, like I mentioned earlier, a foreign entity can commence operations in a 100% fully owned company, but we have what you call the negative list, which we see here as it relates to production of arms and ammunition, anything dealing in narcotic drugs or psychotropic substances, military and paramilitary wares, and coastal and inland shipping, which are all restricted and subject to the approval of the federal authority based on sufficient trade or investment arrangements. So what we will say is that these are the two major types of investment, is either by incorporating or purchasing shares in an existing Nigerian company. The most common for many foreigners is actually the incorporation of a separate entity in Nigeria through a limited liability company. But also we have joint ventures from across several cross-border joint ventures aimed at actualizing some particular projects within the economy. So he also states that this is also, just a flashback to what I mentioned earlier, that an enterprise can only participate in business once it is incorporated in Nigeria. Yes, so foreign exchange. We have the Foreign Exchange Monitoring and Miscellaneous Provisions Act, which approves that the structure in which it works is that because the Nigerian exports and imports is US dollar based, it is necessary that the government can regulate the monetary policy as it relates to the local currency, which is the Naira, and the international trade currency in the Nigeria, which is predominantly the dollar. So we have what you call the certificate of capital importation. So when a company comes in through the NIPC, they bring in the import capital through the local banks, authorized banks. And that is governed, that is what the Foreign Exchange Monitoring and Miscellaneous Provisions Act cover. So it covers the foreign importation of capital into the country, and the investor is now issued a certificate of capital importation, which also allows that investor to repatriate profits or funds generated from the business activities conducted within the country. So Again, the Immigration Act, which relates to business permits, visas, expatriate quotas, and work permits. The Investment Securities Act, which is the approval of all foreign investments in capital markets, like I mentioned, which is the other option apart from incorporating in Nigeria, and the Industrial Development Act for investment incentives. So these are the foreign investment business approvals. Like I mentioned, to incorporate with the CAC, you need a minimum of 10 million. You need a business registration permit with the NIPC. Business permit approval must apply under the immigration services, because you also need to pick up expatriate quota, business and working permits as well. Yes, I've mentioned the certificate of capital importation from authorized banks for foreign importation of capital. Then for companies dealing with information technology, particularly as it relates to software, it is required that you need to register your transfer of technology through an agreement with the National Office of Technological Application and Promotion. So where the contract is usually, formalized and is allowed to operate within the country. For companies operating within the pharmaceuticals and medical sector, an approval is required and also from the food and drinks as well, is required from NAFDA, which is the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control. So where a company wishes to sell, manufacture, sell drugs or food and beverages products. So these are the sector licenses in the short form, which I've tried to simplify. We can see the food and beverages, which is the Ministry of Commerce, because you need to register a trademark. The NAFDAC, that is the product certification, like I mentioned earlier. Medical and pharmaceutical, same applies. Agriculture, the quarantine service, the import and export certificate, seed certification. We also need some NAFDAC verification, phytosanitary certificates as well. Manufacturing, you need product certification from the Standard Organization of Nigeria and MANCAP. The MANCAP is the Manufacturing Association of Nigeria certificate as well. Infotech and equipment, I've split it into two: for the equipment, SON, and for the software, NOTAP, which I mentioned in the previous slide. For engineering service, the Council of Renewable Energy, the Council of Society of Engineers in Nigeria, registered engineers in Nigeria, is required. You need the permission of that organization to ensure that that company can operate within the country. So for trade and commerce, Nigeria has 3 operating major trade agreements presently working. We have the ECOWAS Treaty, which is a treaty for all the 15 and 16 countries in the West African sub-region, which was signed in 1975, was more about West African integration, common trade, and external tariff and trade policy. The structure has 5 bands, divided into basic goods, which is a duty rate of 0%. You have basic good, raw goods, and capital goods of 5%. Inputs and semi-finished goods, 10%. Finished goods at 20%. So those are the categories for the 5 bands of the CET. For AGWA is an act that was enacted by the US Congress in 2000 to increase trade and investment opportunities between US and sub-Saharan African countries, and also encourage economic development and reform. So the trade preference was on duty-free for some importation of some particular goods, mostly within the cash crops, walnuts, tobacco, coffee, textiles, and other things coming from Africa into America. Now, the most recent one, we have under AGWA, we have about 6,000 products that are eligible from free preferential trade treatment from sub-Saharan African countries to America. The most recent trade agreement is the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, which Nigeria became a signatory to on 7th of July 2019. Nigeria was actually the last, one of the last, I think there's only one more African country left to join the trade treaty. It seeks to have a single market for goods and services, economic integration of Africa, and establishment of continental customs union. Apparently, this is seen as probably the largest free trade area in the world, and it also provides sufficient opportunities for foreign investors in Pakistan to also be able to benefit in this thing which starts next year. Sorry, which the trade agreement commences on the 1st of January 2021. And one of the structures is that is in the first phase, which will commence in 2021, on tariffs, rules of origin, services, commitments, and dispute resolution, which have all been finalized. So now, for bilateral trade agreements, Nigeria has 13 double taxation treaties with countries including Pakistan and China, which is based on elimination of double taxation on income tax, companies tax, super tax, surcharges, and capital gains tax. This agreement is domiciled with the Federal Inland Revenue Service, which is the FIRS, and I will be forwarding a copy of that link for interested parties to look at once this webinar is over. So we also have the investment treaties, that is 31 countries, excluding China and India, so which are basically investment promotion and protection treaties. Now, but in 2018, Nigeria signed a currency swap agreement, which was aimed at more or less making trade easier for Nigerians who were particularly transacting in China, because China has a large volume of trade transactions. And it was to finance trade and investment between Nigeria and China, and also financial market stability. It's a 3-year currency swap agreement that's due to it expires in 2021. And a lot of companies are actually taking advantage of these trade agreements. So for commerce, like the last speaker mentioned, Nigeria has about 42 items under the import prohibition list. And some of them include medicines within price. Mostly it is deemed that medicines that can be produced in Nigeria are not allowed to be imported into Nigeria. So it also excludes all types of footwear, bags, and suitcases, excluding safety shoes, sports shoes, canvas shoes, and complete shoes that are CKDs that can be brought into the country. Furniture, excluding baby walkers, medical equipment like laboratory cabinets and microscopes and benches are excluded. Yes, for quite some time there has been a dichotomy between prohibition of importation of fertilizers and allowing it. But as it stands today, fertilizers, mineral chemical fertilizers are prohibited from importation into Nigeria, excluding organic fertilizers. Then we have used motor vehicles over 15 years from year of manufacture, carpets, and other floor coverings. I have also included a link for that to be, for further exploration. For the export prohibition list, we have maize, timber, charcoal, raw hides and skin, scrap metals, unprocessed rubber latex and rubber lumps, artifacts and antiquities, and wildlife animals. Those are basically the goods that are prohibited from export in Nigeria. Now, this area, which is the import trade documentation, has been an area that a lot of importers and exporters have had some challenges, because it is always necessary to ensure that one has an absolute understanding of the necessary trade documentation. It's not when the goods have left, that's when you see the problems coming up. So I've highlighted some of the general trade documentation that we have as it relates to importation of goods into Nigeria, which is your E Form M. You have the shipping documents, commercial invoice, certificate of origin. SON, which is standard organization, SONCAP, they are certificates that are given for leather, auto parts, textiles, and fabrics, and other stuff within that area, and also NAFDAC, food, pharmaceuticals, medicals, and chemicals. So you have the product certificate, the quarantine service certificate, and the risk assessment reports and simple goods declaration. So these are things that can be looked at the custom site, which I will also provide the link in the after the presentation. Thank you. So the customs duty structure based on the ECOWAS band is basically within these areas that I've highlighted. The medical and surgical can be 5 to 20%, but the VAT rate in Nigeria is 7.5. But there's some goods that are exempted from payment of import duty, which I'm going to show in the next slide. You can see for vehicle parts, 0 to 20%. For tractors, is as high as 35%. For leather goods, as high as 20. Food items as high as 30 as well, between 5 and 30. And textiles between 10 and 30 as well. Yes, due to the ongoing pandemic, the federal government in April 2020 came up with the Emergency Economic Stimulus Bill, which was approved to eliminate the fiscal bottlenecks on the importation of medical equipment, medicines, and personal protection equipment and other medical necessities. So it commenced on the 1st of May 2020. It's for a period of 6 months, but the president also has the powers to extend it under the Customs, Excise, and Tariff Consolidation Act. Now, most of the items are COVID. I mean, I've highlighted these items, some of which are quite extensive, but just to give a short summary, we have COVID-19 test kits, protective garments, medical devices, and consumables, disinfectants, which I feel and I believe that are also well manufactured in Pakistan. So this is an opportunity for companies within that sector to harness these benefits. So we go to finance for exports. The CBN has the 2015 guidelines where access to foreign exchange is restricted on the official window for importers of several items. So those importers where their goods cannot be sourced, where they cannot source for foreign exchange, have to go to the parallel market, which is usually much higher than the official window. So most of the ineligible items are mentioned here: the rice, margarine. These are the food products, palm kernel products, meat products, tinned fish, and we also have cement and also other construction materials, ceramic tiles, and we have woven fabrics, textiles, plastic and rubber products, and polypropylene. So those are the products that will not be able to get foreign exchange for. So I've highlighted in general terms the standard documentation and procedure that is required to open a letter of credit by an importer in Nigeria. So which is the certificate of incorporation of the promoter, the proof of TIN registry, that's tax identification number, with a valid email tied to the TIN, commercial sets of documents, documents submitted to the overseas bank. The processing of the risk assessment report is a very important one, which quite a lot of companies miss out, and it results in delays in the importation of their goods, or they incur damages a lot. A copy of the Form M, the commercial and shipping documents or packing list, and the combined certificate of value and origin, and manufacturer's analysis, like I mentioned earlier, NAFDAC, and all the necessary certificates that need to be applied for. So I mentioned Form M. Form M is a mandatory documentation process to monitor imported goods and collection of imported duties in Nigeria. So it has been quite successful for the government, and it makes it, the regularization and also the processing is much better than in previous import activities into the country. So I've also brought out, this is a question which a lot of foreign, exporters, usually ask about, whether a foreign company can open a bank account with a Nigerian bank for import or export trade. So the general answer is no. And as it relates to what the Company and Allied Matters Act says, only a company registered in Nigeria can open a bank account for export or import trade. So do Nigerian banks issue letter of comfort or payment instruments confirming financial capacity of the importer to transact? This is a very important question because often, most times, we have quite a lot of disruptions, I'll call it disruptions in trade, because the exporter needs to understand that his importer has the financial capacity to engage or to transact. So how does he do that? Yes, some Nigerian banks do, and some issue standby letter of credit in favor of the exporter of the goods to assure the exporter that the goods will be paid for once the transaction is consummated. Now, this is the export trade documentation, which I've highlighted here. I'm going to talk about the ones that were not mentioned in the import slide. So we have the certificate of origin, which is issued by the NACIMA, the Association of Chambers of Commerce in Nigeria. We have the NXP, which is the Nigerian Export Proceeds. These are documentations that are also provided and generated by the banks. The NEPC Exporter Certificate, that's the Export Promotion Commission's Exporter Certificate. So each company that wishes to engage in export activities has to register with the Export Promotion Commission. And we have the NAFDAC certificate for food and beverages and other related material. So dispute resolution. Nigeria, there is the Arbitration and Conciliation Act of the Laws of Federation in 2004, which is widely used in all states of the Federation in Nigeria. We have the NIPC Act, which I mentioned, which is the Investment Promotion Commission Act, where Section 26 provides for the settlement of investment disputes at the Commission. We also have the International Center of Settlement of Investment Disputes, to which Nigeria is a party. UNIDROIT. Nigeria is also party to UNIDROIT. Nigeria and Pakistan are both parties to UNIDROIT because they signed off in 1964, just months after each other. UNIDROIT is the International Institute for the Unification of Private Law to harmonize trade. Then we also have the Lagos Chamber of Commerce, which adopts the ICC rules, arbitration rules. We have the Lagos Court of Arbitration, the Lagos State Multi-Door Courthouse, and we have a state or federal high courts. Now, one of the conditions of even engaging before any state or federal high court in the country on any dispute is that parties must have explored alternative dispute resolution mechanisms to ensure that there's speedy dispensation of justice and also speedy dispensation of any commercial challenges that we may experience between the parties. So I will come to a very vital aspect of this webinar, which is due diligence. Now, apart from, in addition to all the routine verification exercises, we found out that a lot of exporters have sufficient challenges identifying their importers, identifying not only the importer, but identifying the proper importer. Who is a proper importer? Who is a bankable importer who can support the transaction or make the transaction positive? So we have the verification of the company's trade business history or activity. This can be done by way of, the importer can request for previous certificates of origin, custom duty clearance documentation, or which all these can be verified because they're all attached to an E-Form M, like I mentioned earlier, which is a mandatory document for any importer who claims to be importing into Nigeria will definitely have sufficient, and it's proof of this. Physical verification where necessary. So another aspect is the verification of licenses of the importer with the regulatory agencies. So these regulatory agencies are NAFDAC, which is for the food and drugs, and also the Standard Organization of Nigeria. Without either of these certificates, no importer or most importers will not be able to import their goods into Nigeria. So that is another verification aspect that exporters can look at to support any transaction they're entering into. So we have also verification with members of chambers of commerce. That's the financial capability. Yes, as a council, I've engaged with many exporters who have not been able to get a way around this challenge, because you have people who come to tell exporters, I want to buy goods worth X amount of money, and the exporter needs to understand that they are financially capable to handle the transaction. We normally suggest an audited account of the company for 2 years. They can be verified at the corporate registry. We also look at the tax history and the tax clearance of the importer. Is very good, because that is one of the conditions which the importer uses to raise his E from M for any importation activity into Nigeria. A VAT registration number. Another aspect is the banking history verification. These are very important. A letter of confirmation or letter of comfort from the importer's bankers verifying financial capacity, and either the request for a payment or performance guarantee from the exporter. So these, we feel, are things that can bring an exporter closer to verifying and understanding the true nature of the export transaction with the importer in Nigeria. So these, we are now looking at how to set up an office in Lagos. For foreign companies interested in working in Nigeria, Lagos is the commercial nerve center of Nigeria. That is the first port. It has an estimated population of unofficial is about 13, estimated is about 20 million living in Lagos. Now, and it is also the hub of that's where the largest port is. So most goods come into Lagos, and they have, from Lagos, they are now taken across the country. Lagos is also where a lot of other foreigners, particularly the Chinese, come to operate from. And as a result, they have developed a very interesting model, which is the model where the Chinese actually bring in their goods. They really sometimes don't wait for the importers to import the goods, because they were doing that for several years ago. But what they've done is they now have a sort of like a business model where they have a warehousing structure, bringing in their goods and now being able to sell to local, I won't call it just the SMEs. We also have to understand that a large majority of Nigerian registered companies are small and medium scale enterprises. So I would say at least average of about 80%. So we have a largely informal economy, despite the fact that a lot of things are regulated. Quite some things are informal, particularly as it relates to trade. So the Chinese model is they rent a warehouse, they appoint agents into the Nigerian market, both Chinese agents and and local agents. So they bring in their goods, the exporters bring in the goods, they do their clearing, and they put it in a bonded warehouse. And from the bonded warehouse, they distribute to the local market. And that's how they've been able to have a very wide reach. In fact, in Lagos, we have some places they call Chinatown, and they've been spread across the country like that. So I will go back to the tips, which is apart from registration of the company in Nigeria, you obtain the regulatory permits from the NIPC and Immigration Service and other state and local governments, because there are also state local government permits that need to be obtained. Not very difficult to get the approval once all the necessary papers are in place. So tax identification number, VAT, and other certificates with the FRS. Now, most importantly is the expatriate quota and the SEPAC card. The SEPAC card is a card that is issued to foreigners by the Nigerian Immigration Service. So those need to be obtained, and they are best obtained when the company comes into the Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission, because everything is done as probably a holistic package so that it's easier for the companies to commence operation as quickly as possible. So opening a bank account, most banks will not open a bank account for a foreigner, except the foreigner actually has a SEPAC card to be able to open the bank account, or either the foreigner is opening the bank account and it's going to be domiciled, the address will be domiciled outside the jurisdiction, but they will need to have a permit to get that. So the certificate of capital importation, like I mentioned earlier, is that certificate that is used when foreign capital is being imported into Nigeria by foreign owners to commence business activities in Nigeria. So also one of the requirements of the Companies Act is the appointment of an auditor and a company secretary, though there's some differences as it relates to what is termed as a small company and what is termed as a big company. So coming to the basics, we have most foreign entities, they lease their offices and residential premises. In Nigeria, the tenancy duration is usually 1 year tenancy. We don't do monthly tenancy really here, except for very small apartments. But for most residential and most commercial is usually a yearly tenancy, where depending on the kind of apartment that is procured, you have your rents. Some have service charges and utilities, and all these vary in different locations. There's some location where you just rent, all services are taken care of by the company itself or the people who are there, and the employment of staff. So, and these are the general tips that I think are very necessary. So I really thank you very much for this opportunity to discuss with you about the opportunities, trade and business related opportunities available and framework available in Nigeria. Thank you very much. Most grateful.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sanda, for giving us a brief overview of Nigerian regulatory framework, its investment environment, and establishing business there. I hope our exporters would have got some knowledge about the Nigerian trade laws. Now, this was on the demand side. Now we also have planned to look onto the supply side issues, and one of the major problems that our exporters are facing is that is of banking channel issues. And in this connection, we had interaction with the State Bank of Pakistan to give some time and apprise our participants about the steps the State Bank is taking to resolve those issues, and why this banking channel issue is persisting since so long. Now, I would like to invite Mr. Mohammad Sajjad, Senior Joint Director, Banking Policy and Regulations Department, State Bank of Pakistan, to speak on this topic. Sir, Sajjad sir, unmute करें उनको.
Assalamu alaikum to everybody, sir. Good afternoon. Are you hearing me?
You are audible to us.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are audible to us, sir.
No, I don't have any. Can you hear me, sir?
You are audible, sir.
Hello.
सर आप ऑडिबल हैं, आप सुन सकते हैं आपको सर.
Hello.
जी सर.
Can you hear me?
जी सर, आपकी आवाज आ रही है सर.
Okay. Sir, thank you very much to give me an opportunity to explain. Sir, right now there are three banks which are operating in African countries, not in ECOWAS, but other African countries. These are HBL, Bank Al Habib, and UBL with their 9 offices at in 5 branches of HBL in Mauritius, 1 branch in Seychelles, and then UBL Bank Al Habib has 1 branch in Seychelles and 1 representative office in Seychelles. Sorry, Kenya. And UBL have 1 subsidiary in Tanzania. All these banks are working there, but there is a very much risk of country risk, which is making some problems for operating our banks, which is also a hindrance to trade with these countries. Our banks are facing actually country risk there. This is not the trade issue or not the exchange issues there. There is the country risk. Our banks are independent and they have their own business decisions and they have their own risk management policies. They have, if every bank have their own risk management policies. Some banks have stringent policies and some banks have relaxed policies. So the banks who have stringent policies, they are reluctant to trade with the customers who have a higher risk rating in these countries. As the African countries have a risk rating more than the normal rating. That is why our banking relationship with these countries are not so working efficiently. Most of the banks in working right now working in these African countries are going to they have obtained their NOCs to exit from these countries because of their adverse risk rating. Moreover, our exporters have problems in certification of e-farms because of the only element in those countries is the risk rating of that country. Most of the traders who are trading with these African countries are required higher due diligence. That's why they are facing problems. Most of African countries are declared high or increased risk countries by OFAC, EU, and UN compliance guidance. The export transaction often involve third-party mechanism which involve multiple countries, that is certain NGOs in different part of world are involved in providing food items to African countries. Price checks are carefully performed due to high risk of under and over invoicing in the name of donations and charities. Trade transaction involving luxury goods, commodities is a red flag due to poor economic conditions in African countries. So because the country has higher risk rating, that's why our banking relationships are very limited with these countries. However, we are open to any bank from Pakistan which is desirous to operate in any African countries and comes to us for their license. We are open. We will encourage them to open their overseas operation as per existing rules and regulation. And similarly, if any African countries bank wants to operate in Pakistan, through a branch or any subsidiary, we will welcome them as per rules and regulation, and their applications would be considered as per rules and regulation. Right now, no African bank is working in Pakistan, and this is all about from me, my side.
Thank you very much, Sajjad Saab. The crux of the matter is that this is mainly because of the risk factor. That's why bankings are not verifying the e-forms. Thank you, sir. And now I would invite Mr. Kamran Vyas, Director, Pakistan Dubai Council, for his talk, sir.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. I hope you can hear to me loud and clear.
Yes, sir, it's loud and clear.
Great, great. A very good afternoon to Nigeria, to Pakistan, and our friends in UAE. It's a pleasure. Thank you very much, Zulfikar Bhai, and I am very much thankful to Mr. Sanda, who has given us a detailed view on investing in Nigeria. At Pakistan Business Council in Dubai, we always believe that trade is the most romantic language in the world. If you want to bring in two countries together, you have to start trading. So Pakistan Business Council was established in 2004 under the patronage of Dubai Chamber. We have 200 plus members who are operating, who are Pakistani and operating business in Dubai. The main purpose of Pakistan Business Council is to bridge between the UAE government and the Pakistan government and enhance the trade. In past more than 14 years, Pakistan Business Council has held many trade fairs and sent delegations to Pakistan to strengthen the trade relation between the two countries. We see a good potential in Nigeria. Most of our members have approached us by saying that there's high risk, but there are high returns also in Africa. And Nigeria being the toppest country, we all look forward to visit and invest in Nigeria. Here, I would like to tell a few facts and figures. UAE has been trading with Nigeria very, very aggressively. In December, by the reports of December 2019, UAE and Nigeria had around $1.5 billion of trade, which is a good number. And the UAE authorities, government are very much willing to uplift these numbers. Pakistan Business Council, as I said, is a bridge, so we can always serve the manufacturers in Pakistan to ship goods to Nigeria, or they can even warehouse their products in UAE to have a much frequent and faster shipping services. Goods like plastic and rubber, sugar, metal, ferrous, minerals, synthetic textile, dairy products, rice, pulses, fresh fruits and vegetables, textiles, surgical goods, and you can go on with this list. So these products can be transited from Dubai ports. We have ports where shipping lines can touch from anywhere to anywhere. Pakistan Business Council is always there to serve you. We also have a good potential in construction industry, as most of our members are developers, real estate dealers and contractors. So Nigerian government can always approach us so that our members can see the potential in Nigeria. The same vice versa for the Pakistani government. As the current government under the leadership of Prime Minister Imran Khan Saab, we have a good potential in real estate sector. So our members who are into construction and development, they are willing to go to the Pakistani market and take the expertise of UAE to Pakistan. What Dubai can further offer? Dubai's economy, one of the best in the world. Trade rules, very flexible. Open trade, diverse trade. You can find 192 countries trading in this region, so exposure is there. Strategic location and tax benefits like JAFTA and other free zone areas in United Arab Emirates. UAE can also be used as a good hub or a point where you can get your products approved by world-known certifications, and you can also do trade exhibitions, trade seminars in this region. I hereby confirm and assure you all the services of Pakistan Business Council at all times. So please do forward us all your inquiries and we'll be always there. Thank you once again and have a nice day.
Thank you, Kamran Yasab, for your time and talk. And now I would like to invite Madam Razia Shakir, General Manager, Engineering Development Board, for her talk on the export of value-added products, especially engineering products. Madam Razia.
Thank you very much, Zulfikar sir, for inviting me over. I would like to present, if you can allow me the screen share, Zulfikar sir. You being the host will have to allow me the screen share.
Yeah, ma'am, it's allowed already.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to take you through these slides which I have prepared to just give you an insight of what is the export potential of engineering goods with our special focus to Africa and of course Nigeria. Can everybody see the screen share?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, while my first slide is about the white goods, sanitary fittings, and LED lights. Pakistan is producing a wide range of these products, and these products have a very good potential for exporting to African region, and of course Nigeria as well. Because the trade figures that I have right now, Pakistan is right now exporting to the African market. Almost we have an export level of 1.423 billion during 2019, while Africa is importing to the tune of 576.6 billion US dollars. Now, if we see the figures that I have got for India, India is exporting to Africa to the tune of 30 billion US dollar, and China is doing it for 90 billion US dollar. So there's a huge potential of exporting Pakistan's engineering sector goods and services to the African region, provided a little bit of support is given by our embassies, our trade officers, and all that. And if I talk of Nigeria, our exports to Nigeria for these engineering sector is only to the tune of 7 million US dollar, which is very meager. That's a very small amount, and the potential that Pakistan has, the manufacturing of the products that the engineering sector is doing right now, that's enormous. So while I talk of these white goods, these are the sanitary fittings, the bathroom and the sanitary fittings. Then we have multiple LED light sector, where we can export street lights, floodlights, etc. Then coming to the electric machinery and equipment, wire and cable, conductors, energy meters, we have again a wide range of products that can be exported to Nigeria and to various other destinations in Africa. Then coming to the automobile parts and components, batteries, tires and tubes. As you can see here, we have a very well-established automobile industry where we are producing four-wheelers, tractors, two-wheelers, three-wheelers, buses and trucks. And of course, we have the parts and component vendors industry, like 2,000 vending, almost 2,000 numbers of vending industry is established in Pakistan. Then the batteries and tires and tubes industry is quite well established in Pakistan. Then if I talk of the tractors, machinery and equipment, this is what Pakistan can offer. This is what we can offer to our Nigerian partners. Then if we talk of the cutlery, utensils and surgical instruments, you can see that Pakistan has a very good cutlery and utensil manufacturing sector and surgical and the medicinal equipment sector that we have here. We are producing all kinds of medicinal devices, micro instruments, surgical and dental instruments. Then domestic fans and industrial fans. Pakistan is producing a wide range of ceiling fans, exhaust fans, and here you can see all types of high pressure fans. If I talk in terms of the industrial fan manufacturing, then we have all these provisions with us. High pressure fans are also being produced in Pakistan, which can be exported to these destinations. Then the pumps, motors and valves sector. Pakistan is presently producing centrifugal, submersible pumps, deep well injection pumps, then motors again, electric induction motors for the valves. We have a wide range of valves which are being produced here locally, and the pipes and tubes. Of course, we have a lot to offer in this sector. Now, then the capital goods industry, we have a good capacity and ability for producing and exporting the industrial boilers, sugar, heavy steel structures, cranes, cooling towers, and milling equipment. Aviation industry, of course, Pakistan is offering high-end manufacturing capabilities in the aviation industry as well. The JF Shark aircraft, maintenance and repair and overhauling facilities are also being offered. Then we have the MRO of ground-based radars, production of high-tech avionic systems, fighter aircrafts. And these are all the products and services that we can offer right now. And if we look at the agricultural sector, Pakistan have a range of good companies which are services in consulting and construction, oil and gas infrastructure, grids installations and expansion, data centers, data analytics, and data mining as well. So this was my main presentation, and if I would also like to highlight a few problems which we've been with our stakeholders. As my friend from State Bank of Pakistan has mentioned, the issues which our exporters are facing regarding the banking channels, that's an issue.
एक मिनट करता हूँ वो कनेक्ट.
Ji, hello. Now, am I there?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
So I was just I was just mentioning the banking channels issues which have already been raised and discussed quite in detail by one of my friends who was representing the State Bank of Pakistan. So we need to take all these issues seriously because lots of people are interested to export to these countries, and unless and until the visa issues, the issues of direct flights and these banking channel issues are addressed properly, the real potential of exports to these countries cannot be explored. So this is all from my side. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, madam. You are right. Engineering products have great potential in African market, especially the agriculture implements, surgical items, and home appliances. And this is one of the focus products of Africa, Look Africa plan. And now I would like to invite my colleague, batchmate, and our trade and investment attaché in Nigeria, Ali Tamkin Bhatt, gave his views on the Nigerian market, its potential, and what he's doing over there to promote exports. Ali Tamkin.
Assalamu alaikum to all. Am I audible to all?
Yeah.
So, thank you for your participation in this event, especially to Ministry of Commerce, Engineering Development Board, State Bank, and Pakistan Business Council. I won't take much time, but basically what I want to talk about the business model on which generally the Pakistani exporters or the businessmen are focused. We have to devise a strategy to work on that. You know, Nigeria is an informal economy, sort of it has had infrastructural issues, it has a banking channel issues, but our neighbors, China and India, they are successful here. Although they have their own infrastructure, they have their many other factors which are supporting them. But my point is that if we do not have a direct banking channel, if we do not have any other support of airline or something like that, we can use those business models which are successful here. For example, what the Chinese generally do, as Mr. Akin told, that they come by themselves with their products. They clear their goods, they buy the warehouse, they dump their warehouse, and then they start working and doing the market research in Nigeria or in Africa. And gradually they spread in the business market, and then they penetrate it. This is the basic problem with us, that we are not coming out of the comfort zone. Our even both sides, I mean the public and the private, we are always more focused on the European markets, the Western side. The time is that we should start focusing on Africa, public and private partnership. This is what we needed. If we want to explore Africa, we have to come to Africa by all means, using our own all resources, using joint ventures. You know, the part of the first presentation was about investments, how to open the office. So basically this presentation was made to give you information how to get the penetration into this region. If you open an office in Africa, I will you open an office in Africa or in Nigeria, in next 3 years, the whole Africa will be in your loop, because it's going to be a free trade zone soon. Although there are problems, still there are many problems, but gradually, this is what the Chinese and the Indians are looking at. They have opened their offices in Nigeria, in Kenya, in South Africa, and gradually, once it's going to be a free trade zone, the whole Africa will be open for them. They don't have to operate from China. They will be sitting in Africa, doing all the trade, doing all the business, with all the backups like warehousing, like their own offices, like their own even staff. So these are the specific areas on which we have to devise a strategy, on which we have to plan together, both public and the private sides. As you know, that Ministry of Commerce, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, they both have developed the Look Africa policy. We are always eager and we are always ready to help you. And whatever you want, we will be here, we will support you. So the message which I want to give you is that we are here to support you by all means. We are your ears, we are your eyes. Whatever you expect from us, we will help you. But you have to take a leap further. Let's come to Africa. Let's explore this market with us. Let's we do the business here. And just one last point, which Madam Razia said, for the surgical sector, for the light engineering sector, you know, we have to understand that Nigeria is a bit regulatory regime. Without registration, they don't allow the imports. What we are doing, that we have engaged their regulatory authorities. We are working with the SON, we are working with NEFTEC. So with the NEFTEC, we are going to have another webinar in which the DG NEFTEC will be giving the presentation on how to register the pharma products in Nigeria. And with the SON, we are doing the same thing. We have also identified one of the important regulatory firm which can help the Pakistani products to get registered in Nigeria. That is for the surgical instruments. And third point is that we are also sending a SON official delegation to Pakistan next month. They will be visiting Gujranwala sector, and they will also be visiting Islamabad, inshallah. And they will be meeting with you. They are basically those officials which audit and inspect the light engineering factories, and then they give the import permit. So we have identified one of the product. And we are very hopeful that we'll be able to get that import permit and that we will be able to import that in Nigeria. I'm not going to disclose that product at this stage, but we are hopeful that once we get the import permit, that will open new avenues for us. So last point is that on the one hand, we are focusing on the trade market by sharing information, by engaging regulatory authorities. On the other hand, we are also requesting the private sector to please come to Africa, please come to Nigeria, Kenya, South Africa, all those areas which we want to go, so that we can work with you together. And we assure our whole support, complete support to all of you. So that was basically from my part. So we expect to have a strong and improved business relationship with Africa, with Nigeria, with a joint and collaborated effort. Thank you.
For your talk, right, I agree with you that we will have to meet the regulatory and certification requirement before entering the market. Ladies and gentlemen, now we have with us our Secretary, Mr. Ehsan Ali Mangi, Secretary Trade Development Authority of Pakistan. He will be giving concluding remarks. Sir Ehsan Ali Mangi.
Good evening. Here it is evening in Pakistan. I would like to thank our guest, first of all, Barrister Mr. Akin Sanda, and all other colleagues from Ministry of Commerce, Engineering Development Board, different business councils. I had seen the presentation, by Mr. Akin. I think it is very useful for us. Trade Development Authority has started this series of webinars. As you know, traveling between the countries has become a challenge, and we have lost many months in between. So the only way to interact and get to know things is to come on the digital platform and try to find common grounds, understand things, how to enter new markets. Africa is a big opportunity. Pakistan has now recently done this towards Africa policy of Ministry of Commerce. India and China has a big footprint already in Africa, and looking at Africa, the general growth, economic growth of Africa, and especially countries like Nigeria, they have a lot of promise in trade. The location of Africa also is suitable to countries in South Asia because of distances and maritime lines. The development stages of development of Pakistan and different African countries are also match in terms of technology, in terms of new areas, especially like pharmaceutical, surgical, light engineering. I think the people in Pakistan and in Africa can understand each other better in that context. And there is a lot of business to be done between Nigeria and Pakistan. So there's a lot of opportunity for both sides. And obviously, entering a new market is about different requirements, as we are all signatories of WTO and different conventions. So all the different products require specific regulatory environment, and entering the market would require a prerequisite that we understand all the steps that would be necessary to enter. So Pakistani businessmen have shown lots of interest in Africa, especially in Nigeria. And we constantly get queries from Pakistani exporters about different regulations, regulatory environments in Nigeria, different sectors. So we felt that addressing Africa and addressing Nigeria through webinar would be one of the important areas. So we have our very good and able TIOs like Mr. Tamkeen today we have here in Nigeria. And he and along with our team in DDAP were able to arrange this webinar, which is a very very well done, especially finding Mr. Sanda to actually educate Pakistani prospective and other exporters about Nigeria. So congratulations, Mr. Tamkeen, and of course our DGs and other team members in IMD. I think this is only the first step in a series of webinars that we can have based on the feedback that we will get from all our participants today. And I think if there are any queries, any questions that you need clarification about, you can email to us. आपने contact दिया है
Yes,
इनको?
दिया है और emails हमारे पास आई भी हैं काफी।
अच्छा. So this is very important, that this is only the first step to introduce the market and entry into the market. The important thing is that we follow it up and we go into very concrete steps from there on. So we would definitely look forward to your questions coming to us and our ability to answer them and get the information from our trade and investment officer in Nigeria and from our different government agencies who work with us, like Engineering Development Board. We feel is a very important component when we look at Africa, because engineering products have a potential market for Africa. So I think you had a very threadbare discussion on Nigeria, how to enter Nigerian market, what are the rules, regulation, framework is like. So I will not take more of your time, but I am sure that we are going to meet again, probably in sector-specific interventions, where we would have more, information and discussion on different sectors. So I thank you all for this very patient 2 hours. I am sure there were 2 hours in this. So I hope that we meet again. Thanks a lot. Take care.
Thank you. Thank you. Finish.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for participating in this webinar, and I like to thank especially our speakers who took time out of their busy schedules, Mr. Akin Sanda and Mr. Kamran Riyasa from Pakistan Business Council Dubai, and Ma'am Razia Shakir, and our Joint Secretary, Ministry of Commerce, Madam Maria Qazi, for giving insightful talk on topics which were assigned to them. Thank you all. Thank you.